Welcome to episode 12 of the Hit Your Target podcast. I'm your host Laura, and today I'm joined by someone who truly embodies the phrase multi-passionate, Marcello Costante. Entrepreneur, real estate investor, community builder, and if that wasn't enough, he's also an 800-metre runner and a metal singer. Marcello is known for hosting high-impact networking events that bring together ambitious, like-minded people who are hungry for growth, connection and freedom. His energy is contagious and his curiosity spans everything from business and creativity to health and performance. In this episode, we dive into a powerful conversation around money mindset, how it shapes our decisions, limits our potential, or unlocks new levels of success. We also explore what Marcello calls the high-performing paradox, the idea that the very drive that pushes us forward can also hold us back if left unchecked. It's an honest, engaging chat about ambition, identity, and redefining success on your own terms. So if you're ready to break through old ways of thinking and fuel your next move, this one's for you. Let's dive in. And as always, if you enjoy the episode, please take a moment to rate the show, leave a comment and hit follow so you never miss what's next. Hi, Marcello. So thank you so much for joining me today. And where are you based today?
Today, thank you for having me, first off. I'm really excited about this. Today I'm in Italy. I'm traveling right now. But usually I'm based in Spain, Valencia.
Very nice, very nice. It certainly beats being in England. However, the day we're recording this is actually quite nice today.
Nice.
Yeah. So I want to speak to you because we obviously had a little bit of a conversation beforehand about kind of the paradox of how you hit your target. Sometimes it can seemingly be further away than you think. Let's start there, shall we? Let's start with that. What perspective do you have on how to hit your target?
Yeah, I would say that my approach to this, in the past few years I've been doing business, I think, for me, the wrong way, at least for what works for me. And I found out that a lot of people connected to this, but they're not aware of this, and they tend to follow the same approach, which is set goals and try to achieve them, right? And to some extent, there is a place for goals, of course. It's not like it's all bad. We're not going to be black and white with this. But in my experience and also working with other business owners and entrepreneurs, I've seen that the more you focus on this goal, this is a paradox that I usually talk about, the money paradox, I call it, but it applies to everything, not just business. The more you try to focus on that goal, the harder it is to achieve it, right? So the target, it's like it's pushed away rather than you getting closer. And there is a reason for that. Probably we're going to explore this today, but mostly it's because you kind of develop this kind of tunnel vision, I would say, that isolates you from actually connecting to the multiple opportunities that are thrown your way and are really fun and enjoyable for you. And you sacrifice everything that you like. I mean, a lot of people do this in business. I've made that mistake in the past. And you basically sacrifice that kind of pleasure, the kind of fun, the kind of curiosity, which is basically, I think, the most important element here, all for this very goal, this very focus that you have to have. And when you can't, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And so that's why it becomes harder and harder to achieve that goal, to hit that target. So that's pretty much the concept that I have.
Yeah, and I think I always start with like in terms of finding a goal, it's about getting that clarity. So you have to be really clear. You have to kind of visualize what that means to you and what it will feel like when you achieve it, because otherwise you have no real reference point. But so tell me a bit more about like what does it mean to have too much focus?
I think, like I said before, it depends on the kind of goal. So we want to be flexible with this, of course, because first off, we're not all the same. And secondly, not every situation is the same, and not every goal is the same. Let's say that I want to save, I don't know, £100 a month for vacation. There's not much need to be creative about it. It's like, if you have the amount of money monthly, that's it. You just set aside, and it's a pretty easy goal. And having a goal, it's actually very effective. Having other different strategies might probably not be as effective. If you want to lose a little bit of weight and you're already going to the gym or doing sports, you just need more consistency. Having a goal is perfect, okay? And having clarity, like you said, on these goals, it's fundamental because you want to visualize that. You want to see. But even when it comes to losing weight, for example, even if it's just like 3 pounds or 5 pounds, nothing massive, okay? Um, Even with that, the more you focus on the actual, like, for example, if we're talking about clarity, if I start to visualize myself 3 pounds or 5 pounds leaner, for example, um, it's kind of shifting me away from the things that I like to do on a daily basis that actually will allow that goal a natural consequence. And so I will start to put a lot of pressure on myself because I have to achieve this, because it has to happen probably before the summer, because I want to have, I want to look good naked or whatever it is, before I go to the beach, and because of that, it's not like my focus is not on what I like to do. Like, for example, I don't know, play soccer or run or whatever it is, or go to the gym or all of these, and have fun with these things, so that like, for example, to feel better at the gym, or when I do sports, maybe I take care of my nutrition a little better, I take care of my sleep habits a little better, and so all those things come together into something that's fun and that's pleasurable and that I enjoy doing. As a natural consequence, I will lose those extra pounds of weight. But if I shift the focus from, like, I would say the focus is fundamental. And when you chase curiosity and when you chase fun with these things, you tend to do more of that. You tend to be more focused for longer because it feels good, right? And you're doing the good, healthy things for yourself. And so it's self rewarding, basically. You don't need to hit the goal, hit the target for you to have the instant reward that allows you to basically look. It's a paradox, because you have the instant reward not because you're doing the comfortable thing, that maybe it's eating, I don't know, too much ice cream or whatever. It's an instant reward on something healthy that works for you, and so eventually you focus more on these things that build for the future. You don't have expectations on results today, like losing those pounds within a week or a month or whatever. It's more like I have a good time doing the things that will make me get there eventually. Whether it's 1 month or three, it doesn't matter, because I can sustain this for 3 years or 30 maybe, because I love this, right? So it doesn't matter if I hit it today, in a month, or in a week, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important, because it's about, yes, you have that big goal, but it's breaking down the steps to get there. And sometimes we lose ourselves in that journey, and I know you likened it there to being, losing weight, or, being in the gym. And I think one of the things that I used to focus on is the sad step. So, getting on the scales, because you think, oh, sometimes it's just you feel like you're not progressing, and it can become quite disheartening. Where actually, reality is you might be building more muscle, which weighs more, and it's about focusing on the bigger picture rather than just those small things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And if you think about anything big, like from evolution coming from bacteria to us, which is like unplannable, you can have that goal if you are Mr. Evolution or Mrs. Evolution. So there's no way you can plan for that. It just happened because of so many things that coincidentally happened on planet Earth, and that became a reality. What we see today, all the species that are available today, including ourselves. But also, like, think about people like, I don't know, Steve Jobs. This is a clear example. He dropped out of school to go study calligraphy. Like, seriously, like, what's the point there? There's no point, there's no goal, there's no objective there. He just enjoyed it for whatever reason, and that allowed him to develop some better technology. I don't remember exactly. He talked about it. I think it's the iPad, the first iPad or whatever. But it wouldn't have been possible without that stepping stone, which is unplannable. right? So again, like if you find a new sport and instead of going to the gym and lifting weights that you may hate, you go play that sport, it is possible that you'll develop a better physique than going to the gym if going to the gym is not your thing and you're not having a good time there, right? Because and that stepping stone you cannot plan it sometimes because maybe a new acquaintance that you met because you went out and you didn't want to go out one day and you decided to go out anyways and you met that person made you discover that sport. I don't know, parkour. It's not that kind of thing that you can plan for, but it
Yeah.
happened and makes your life better. So if you're open to exploring your curiosity and fun and you use that as a compass, it's much easier than to actually develop that focus that we talked about before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting debate here as well in terms of whether things happen for a reason. And somebody asked me this recently, and I said, well, I'm not entirely sure what I believe in that. I think sometimes you can choose an outcome, and if you choose a positive one and to push yourself forward, like redundancy, for example, it can seem like a horrendous thing at the time, but actually, if you use that as a catalyst to change and do something you enjoy, and then that develops into something else, it can be, a lot of people say it's the best thing that ever happened to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, these things, that's why if you're let's say, I give you an example. Recently, I joined a networking company, basically. They do online networking on Zoom. And it's really good. It's really different from its people who are used to other networking types. Is basically a place where everybody pitches their product or service and nobody enjoys it. This is very different. It's more like you get to know the people in front of you before you talk about what they do for a living, and so I've joined that because I was interested and curious about it, but honestly, it doesn't connect directly to my. I mean, I don't have goals anymore. I let go of the goals. But like, if I had a goal, like for example, with my business, real estate, or the consulting, I'm a business consultant as well. Um, like, yeah, I mean, you can find a way to connect it, but from my perspective, it's just something that I enjoy doing, and because of that, I developed relationships that have pushed me in a direction and opened opportunities that, again, I could have not planned. And not only that, but I would not even be in that kind of circle if I had just followed the end goal of selling houses or finding clients to grow their business, right? Because I mean, there's no real connection directly.
Yeah, yeah. So on that as well, because you touched on that about being a business consultant, and you're kind of, well, in your own words, how are you playing this kind of high performance paradox at the moment? How is that playing out for you? Because yeah,
Yeah, since I stopped, like, the problem with chasing goals with business is that eventually the easiest thing to track, to measure, and to look for is money, because it's a number eventually for us. The way we handle it, basically, it's okay. I'm making 10K a month. I want to make 12K a month. I want to make 10 times that, 100K a month, whatever it is, right? And the problem is that if, like, you can do it, it's not like you cannot do it, but if you only focus on that and you make it your, like, your ultimate goal, like that's what has to happen this year, or next year, in 5 years, what happens is that, at least for me, that was the case. I started to forget about why I was doing the things I was doing, and so I started to just focus on making more money. And as a paradox goes, for me, it didn't work. I started to lose money to make less money. And because of that, I became more and more desperate at some point in my life, where I was just trying to get on calls to get clients. And I would accept whatever kind of client because I needed the money, not because I really needed it, but because I needed to achieve those goals, right? And so when I stopped doing that and I reconnected, it took me a while. It wasn't an overnight thing, right? It took me probably a few months, if not more. But slowly, I started to reconnect to the reasons why I was doing that and the passion that I have about helping others, and how that makes me feel, rather than the focus on how much money I can make, then so many opportunities opened up, and so I started making more money, probably 10x my income very quickly. And the reason was that again, like when I was having conversations with people, I was not trying to sell them. I was trying to help them for real. That was my real, because I know that if I can help someone, I feel better. I like it. I'm fun. I'm having fun. And so money becomes again a natural consequence of that. But before, like there was a time when I was already talking about the money paradox, but it was like a theoretical thing for me. I grasped some of the concepts, but I couldn't kind of close the circle and understand how to stay away from then going back, to the goal setting, making more money and stuff like that. And once something clicked about it, and I was like, okay, it has to be what I like to do and what makes me feel good about, and I'm gonna do more of it, and it's gonna work. It then started to work, and I saw the results.
Yeah, I love that because I've gone through the same in my background in HR, so it's very looking at risks constantly, kind of looking at that side of things. And I think it's easy to fall into that trap when you're in business to go, oh, I want to earn X a month, or I want to have this salary or whatever it might be, and that's a monetary value. But exactly as you said, it becomes then all you focus on. I had a client recently who said, they want to, that's their main goal is to make X figure. And so I said, okay, great. So what does that give you? What does that achieve for you? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I not really thought about that. Because you've got to focus on, what is that fulfillment? Because I think when we get to, I don't know, the six-figure sum, well, all of a sudden, then I want it to be seven figures. Where does it end? Because what is it
Yeah,
actually? Yeah,
yeah, and I've been there, and I was making six figures, and I said, okay, now when I was making 10K a month, and I wanted to make 100K a month. And the moment I started to say that out loud to other people, actually actually the is the actual moment where everything fell apart and I lost everything. Honestly, I like a month later, I hit rock bottom. I lost everything. I burned all the money that I had because I didn't want to be on a call with people. So I started to gamble my money on trading, day trading, and stuff like that, and I lost everything because I thought this is so good because I don't need to be dealing with people anymore because people I just want the money, right? But I love being with people. I've always loved to be with people. Why all of a sudden I hated it? Because I was not having a good time with people because it was all about the money. And for me it completely disconnected to my purpose, the things that I love to do. So that was like 1 month was the happiest month of my life, and 2 months later was the most depressing month of my life, and I had to rebuild from scratch. And I'm reading a book that says that it's easier to stay on top of your game and to stay there when things are working with your business than it is to climb back up if you fall. And it's true. It took me years to rebuild from there, and it's a long and painful process. So if you're connected to your goals, so if you're on top of your business or whatever you're doing, try to connect more than with your goals. Connect with who you are as a person and what your values and what you believe in, like the things that make you have fun. All those things are gonna allow you, because I believe that the secret to success is hard work, but for you internally, it doesn't have to feel like hard work. And hard work can be 12 hours a day of commitment to something. Like if you ask an artist, if they have the money, usually they'll do art. Like you have to stop them usually. And that's the kind of thing that develops mastery, which is a very important element here. We're not talking about having fun being playing video games, or just go for a walk and have fun, or go to the club every night. It's not that kind of fun. We're still talking about something that allows you to achieve your goals, of course. It's that kind of it's not the pleasure that you think is when you're doing things that are basically unhealthy for you.
yeah, yeah. I think it's one of those. Be careful of what you wish for, in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought of that recently because when I was younger, actually, don't ask me why I was young and stupid, but I asked for a sick relationship, like someone who would be, I don't know, I was watching movies and stuff like that, and I wanted this kind of sick relationship. And eventually I got this relationship with a girl that started to punch me in the face, literally. So that was not good. And I realized, like what you just said, but again, this connects to the goals, right? Because if you fixate on something, sometimes you create that kind of energy that allows you to attract those people or attract you into realities where those goals become true. But sometimes it's not exactly what's best for you because maybe you're making a lot of money or you're hitting your targets, but it's actually not your happiest life.
Yeah, yeah. Is it truly aligned with what you want? Yeah, yeah. So I just want to touch on, because you've done an amazing little PDF guide for our listeners. So just talk me through that, and I'll share that in the show notes as well for anyone listening.
Yeah, so it's basically a very simple checklist to because that solves the problem that I had, which was I know that this is not what I should be doing, but how do I not fall into the trap again of tracking things? So the checklist is basically self-reflection moments, basically to understand if we're still being guided by goal setting in a detrimental way, or if we're actually enjoying what we're doing and doing more of it because of the enjoyment. Um, then after the checklist, once you go through it, you can use it daily or weekly, depends on how much you want to lean into it. But then after that, you also have journaling prompts, basically. So you can use them to write your journal on this. And I think the most important part of that PDF is that you basically can use it to connect to your values, to the things that make you you, the things that make you enjoy what you do, and make sure that you're not shifting away into that detrimental goal setting, basically.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's really useful. And I think journaling you touched on there is a big part of that, is having that, being able to have self-awareness and and track that over time. So what's next for you then? I know you said you've got a few things going on at the moment, but what are the key things that you want to achieve next?
Yeah, my intention right now is to basically write every day. I'm starting with 5 minutes, very small things. I think this is important also when you do something new, when you're starting a new habit, picking up a new habit, to start small. Because there's time you want to give yourself time to make it a habit before it becomes hard. I did this with running and athletics, and it worked. And I'm repeating this with right now writing. So I'm just writing random stuff. I'm using ChatGPT to help me learn how to write. So it will give me assignments, and I will just write for 5 minutes. And then this is because at some point I want to write more and more. I want to make writing the core of my business, both in terms of writing blogs, maybe articles for publications, and even a book. It's not. It's something I would love to do. And the cool thing is that again, I started to write the other day, the first 5 minutes, and I got this feeling like this is the right thing to do because I love doing this, even though there was no goal. I mean, there's an intention to go in that direction, right? But I don't know if I didn't say I want to have my, best-selling book within the year or something like that. It's not like that. I'm just having fun, learning a new skill, and being curious about it. And so that's basically the near future. I'm being hosted by amazing guests, amazing hosts like yourself. So I'm having a great time, and I think I'm gonna do this more often, and eventually maybe even do some speaking. Yeah, speaking gigs at events and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm totally open to this kind of thing. But I want to make this idea the core of my business and writing.
Amazing. And I normally end with a question about, what advice would you give to the listeners about, helping them if they feel stuck in achieving their goal? I want to change it slightly with you, because what you said there in terms of writing and when it feels good, like How do you know? How can you tap into that from your perspective of what feels good?
Huh. It's interesting because the way I've had this kind of feeling multiple times in my life. I've been on stages as a singer, and that was like the peak of my and like having fun and enjoying what I was doing. And again, it didn't happen overnight. You have to build mastery, so I had to learn how to sing and create a band and write music and all that, right? So that feeling. But the moment I did that, the moment before that, I was panicking. But then the moment the lights would go on, I would start to feel like nothing compared to it. And and once I got into that feeling, every time I feel something similar, like for example with writing, there's some thrill. I can't really explain it, but it's similar to being on stage for me. That's why I want to be a speaker at some point, also. But I would say that if you haven't found out what turns you on like that, the thing that I would do if I were in that situation that I don't know is probably lock myself up in a room where I'm comfortable with, when nobody can come in and interrupt my process. Probably even dim the lights, not turn them on completely, but like be in a very soft environment with low distractions. Turn off the phone, turn off every notification, and just try to meditate and listen to myself and the feelings and the things that I'm curious about, and pursue that. Use that as a compass, like curiosity, the things that I have fun, but that are something I can build upon, something that is healthy. Again, not the clubbing, not that kind of fun, but I don't know, learning a new art, writing, dancing, singing, whatever it is, it doesn't mean that you can't make money with it or you cannot build success around that. And sometimes you can just mix it with what you're doing and makes what you're doing more sustainable. You steer away from burnout, because burnout usually is when you do this, your brain does the same thing over and over, and you're not enjoying it. But if you start to mix it with other things that you do enjoy, basically it's like you're recharging the battery, but you're still being productive. So I would
Yeah.
go about it that way. I would try to connect with my feelings and the things that I know that are good for me, because I think most people have that internal voice that still works, but sometimes it's a little, there's too much noise around us, too much notifications, watching TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that, and we get distracted from ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely agree. I talk a lot about aligning head, heart, and gut, brains, and that being able to just get rid of the distractions. Exactly as you said, get rid of all those external voices and noise that's around us, and say connect with our inner wisdom and just say what is it I really want? What is it that my heart desires? It's
Yeah,
those, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. So thank you so much. I mean, there's so much insight in there. And as I said, I will share that PDF guide and the links to connect with you as well, for our listeners in the show notes. So yeah, thank you so much again. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you for having me. It's been great for me as well. Thank you very much.
Right. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate the show or leave a comment. It really helps us reach more people. And don't forget to share it with anyone else who could use a little motivation today. Have a fantastic day and make sure you hit your targets.